Hello all, and welcome to the Mimo DeFi podcast. Mimo DeFi, of course, being the #1 DeFi application that allows you to access your crypto without selling it. Today, we have a very special guest, Fareed, team lead over on the engineering team. I believe we're going to get a lot done on this call. I'm very much looking forward to it. A couple other people that I was talking to on the team, I had some questions for, and they said, nope, save it for Fareed. So, yeah, I know, I can already see it. It's going to be a fun one. So, Fareed, thank you very much for joining me today.
Hi, Nick. Thank you for having me here, actually.
Of course. So why don't you kick things off here a little bit by let us know what is it exactly that your role is over at Mimo?
Yeah, so basically I was always fascinated about infrastructure stuff. So for example, like we have the new category of web apps, which is like the Web3 apps, the decentralized app. So it is about how you build, like, let's say, the best infrastructure for these kinds of apps.
Mm-hmm.
So this is my role. So let's say I'm not involved much in the features, more on how to build them or how to, like, everything, talk to everything, how we display data, how we run transactions, like these kind of.
So almost, I guess, to a layman, an engineer over at Facebook might not care too much about social networking, but heavily cares about just speed, reliability, all those kind of things.
Yeah, this exists like in many companies. For example, you can find like database engineers in some companies. They actually care more about like performance of database, security of database. Like not everyone you will find him involved in the end user features that much, but still like I care about the features. I use the platform by myself also to know, like, because you need to know what the user is facing in your app. You need to see the app. You need to try the app.
And how much of your thinking goes into the app itself versus just, because we can just kind of bypass the app altogether?
As I said, like I am most excited about the technology itself, the possibility that we can do with this new blockchain thing as technology. And I am interested in the app because it's one of the things that I think it will help shaping the future of this technology.
So this actually brings me to my next question. What did attract you to kind of using your skills over here at Mimo, both as a user of the platform, a DeFi user yourself, and then as far as just kind of the product itself, like how you're deciding kind of what to use your energy on?
Yeah, so first of all, like in the past, I worked in many companies, basically most of them startups.
Centralized?
Yeah, for me, it doesn't matter because it's actually, I like working in startups because most of the time startups, they are tackling the things that nobody did before. So most startups trying to do new things.
You're just trying to be on the bleeding edge every time.
Yeah, and every time I move from a new technology to a new technology, I discover amazing things. So my last job before like this company was actually in South Korea. It was an AI company. And, you know, AI is also a niche technology that will shape the future. So I wanted to be there.
Right.
You know.
So really, you really want to be working on crypto right now is kind of your primary focus.
My primary focus, to be honest, more than even crypto, is the blockchain itself as technology. Yeah, that's actually where I, like, what make me happy working in like a company like Mimo. You know.
I see. So I think we're going to get a little bit more into, I'm going to ask you like kind of some personal questions in a bit here, but I'll save it for now, for a hot second. But so as far as, so blockchain, AI, I mean, these all kind of have like similar properties where they're just on that bleeding edge, right? How do you go about, so for example, in marketing right now, I love processes. I love kind of proven steps and everything. There are none of that for this, right? We have to, we're kind of forced to just create and kind of trailblaze this path on our own. Do you find that exhilarating? Could it be overwhelming at any times?
I think everything is about trials, literally. You know, everything in the world. This is something I have learned from working in many startups. Like, you need to try, okay? You can look at what other people do, but you need to try, because trying will give you more like information about your situation.
Trying also just provides a feedback loop, right? I mean, the opposite
Exactly.
of trying is just pontificating, kind of just thinking about things, ideas even.
Yeah, I guess like currently a lot of people know this, but in the past it was hard for startup to recognize that they need to go into discovery process.
Discovering, how do you mean?
There is like a way to build products as a startup. You can't just build everything, then you go to the market. That's how, let's say, the traditional way of building products, you know. In startups, you need to, because you are trying to solve a new issue or like a new, let's say, niche problem or something like that, you need to discover it by yourself. Like pretending that you know everything, that will lead you nowhere.
It also creates bubbles.
Exactly. That will lead you nowhere. You need to discover it by yourself. But you still have to solve the main issue. Like, you know what you want to solve. You know what's the problem. You know what you want to solve. But we talk about how to solve it. You need to discover this. And this is the discovery process is in everything, not only the product, even in the management of the team. You know, so you need to try, get feedback, then do something. But you need to not lose the way. Because a lot of startups, they have the mistake of they want to solve a specific issue, they end up solving totally different thing. You know, everything else is fine. You need to try. And
so how do you, I know you have a very interesting kind of take on the management, right? So this discovery phase does kind of shape how the team is run. And then how do you manage teams overall? I know it's a very broad question.
Yeah, okay. So actually it has a thing to do with my job in the company, because my job is leading, you know. And I want to make sure like engineers is actually following my pattern, right? Or let's say our pattern that we discovered. Okay, I think management is not one, like you can just pick a specific strategy of like these famous strategies of management and just apply it to your company as it is religion. You know what I mean? You need really to find the best fit for your company, you know, or for your team, let's say.
So certain engineers simply just would not work with the way that we work.
Yeah, like what I mean, even if you find two companies trying to solve the same issue, they have similar products, I believe they should have different management of their team, different way of management.
So how are you managing Mimo?
So actually, even as we still learning, but what we found recently is actually we kind of have mixed of cross-functional teams, like how, like, let's say Facebook works, but at the same time we still have kind of vertical teams that they discuss generic stuff. So I give you quick
Please.
example. Okay.
It doesn't have to be quick. We're here.
Okay. So usually in cross-functional teams in these big giant companies, there is a whole team to handle a specific process flow of the app, and they have kind of KPIs to measure their performance, you know, but it's like very limited to a specific flow. For example, let's say onboarding of your app. You want to make sure that everyone installed your app or landed in your homepage end up being your user, right? This is a goal. So you just hire a team. This team contains everything they need. They don't need an external help. Okay.
So this is what you mean by vertical.
This is the cross-functional team.
I see.
So
okay.
the cross-functional team, they have a designer, they have product manager, they have engineers, they have everything. So you can think of them as a small company.
Their own company within a
Okay.
team. Yeah. Working on a particular feature.
A particular, let's say, flow in the app. Okay. And this flow, let's say it's onboarding. So their KPI mission should be reducing number of people who doesn't continue the onboarding, who don't continue the onboarding process.
Right.
So you don't need, like, let's say you have percentage of like 30% of people install your app just leave without even sign up, login, or using the app. So this is their mission. They work on it. The designer keep discovering what is better, doing A/B test, whatever. Now, the problem with this cross-functional teams is doesn't fit with the small companies. You can't just have a small company and you want to hire a team for just onboarding process,
Not
and
very
you have
lean.
another team for, like, let's say, the payment process. You know what I mean? It doesn't work with a startup, and we know that.
Just because not enough resources.
Not enough resources, and the app itself is still too small, like too small to apply this kind of process. Like, you don't have the features same as Facebook, which Facebook, they have videos, they have live, they have.
Sometimes you might just think you're in an entirely different app, right?
Yeah,
and
exactly.
They can work in their own vacuum.
Like, Facebook is a huge platform. You know what I mean? So applying this cross-functional team, it makes sense there. Okay. And I'm sure they don't stick to it like as religion also, because even these giant companies, they same as us, they still learning, you know what I mean? And in our case, we was like, okay, we can apply cross-functional teams maybe on products. So we have a cross-functional team for the mobile app. We have cross-functional team for the web app. You know what I mean?
Comprising of the same people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, what I mean by vertical is when you have engineers, sometimes even if you work in mobile app or web app or blockchain, you might need as engineer to have meeting. Here you don't discuss features. It's not like the onboarding team who discuss actually how, like, the login should be or sign up, what they should use. Is more about more generic stuff, like what languages we should use, what frameworks we should use. Same, actually, the best team to think about this, the best, let's say, vertical team, you need to think about this is designers, because you need all your design to be consistent, right? Across everything, mobile app, what is your colors, what's your logo, right? Where the places that you should put your logo on. Like, some companies, they have like, oh, our logo cannot go onto light background, it need to be dark.
Right, right.
So also, like, what's your primary color, what's your fonts? So designers, I feel they should, even if you work in different teams, you should have meeting, let's say, one time per month or something, just to discuss about our identity, the persona of that, you know what I mean? But then when you join your team, your work is feature specific, you know what I mean? Is like how the payment should be.
Right, right. And so then how does that relate to, I mean, when was the last, when you were managing prior, were they any teams compared to Mimo, like in terms of size? Like, did you have more,
Yeah, of course.
kind of like mini companies to manage is what I'm getting at.
I been in both, like,
Okay.
let's say mid, I don't want to say big team, like mid teams to like very small team. And there is something important here is your team might start with 2 people, it might end up with 20. So you need to be careful that the things that you do with 2 people doesn't work when you would have to deal with 20 people.
Right.
You know
right.
what I mean? So this is also something you need to make sure it is scale, the management process.
Right, right. Okay. Interesting. So then as far as, you said directly prior to Mimo, you were at the AI company. Is that right?
Yes.
So then how long have you been in DeFi?
I can say almost 1 year.
Oh, okay. Only 1 year.
Because like Mimo also like before Timo there was different business.
Right, right. It's only been since January 2021, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So then as far as, what was the, I'm wondering, what I'm trying to get at is the difference between managing a centralized application versus a decentralized application. Do you even feel it? Maybe you don't even, it doesn't even kind of like hit.
I think actually it doesn't really matter.
Okay.
Or
Infrastructure, security is all the same.
No, the infrastructure change actually. Like the infrastructure different, because dealing with decentralized app is different than dealing with a centralized app, You need to understand the concepts of how the Web3 apps works, But management, it's actually more related to your company, your team, more than what you are building. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Would you say that this style is something that separates Mimo from other protocols out there at the moment?
Uh, I would say Mimo is unique in terms of even the employees. Like literally, uh, the people in the company actually reflect. You can see the reflection of the people on the product.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's why you need like I like in Mimo we have diversity of nationalities, like people from all over the world. You know.
We span like what, 15 countries, something like that?
Exactly. That's something so unique
Yeah.
because if the product team is only people from a specific country, you can see it in the product.
Mm.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Also different backgrounds. So we have people who works in like full stack, different technology, Java, C+, you know. This all you can see the effect on like the reflection of that on the product.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's all dynamics stuff.
Right.
You know.
Okay, cool. So I've got a couple questions here as far as a little techie, a little
Okay, let's go.
all right. So one of them that I had here on a previous episode was I was wondering the safe amount. So typical flow for anyone still unaware would be to go on Vimeo, create a vault, deposit your collateral of choice, and say it's $1,000 of ETH or €1,000 of ETH, and you're able to now mint par against that, right? The safe amount button on that prompt, what the heck is that? What is safe?
I mean, as I told you, like I for me as my job,
But there's like an actual number there.
yeah.
Like there's an actual calculation.
Yeah,
How do you
so
determine that?
there is a way to calculate these stuff, but as I told you, like for me, I care more about like infrastructure of the app rather than these like specific features. You know what I mean? There is a way to like, for example, take for example the gas fee. Okay,
Right.
when you do a transaction, like if you notice, MetaMask give you like 3 options or something.
Right.
Actually, you can put the gas fee whatever you want. We know that, you know. But MetaMask trying to make it easier for the user to use the app. So there is many features in our app, whereas actually we try to make it easier for the app, you know, for the user, you know.
And I mean, it might sound a little silly, but what is easy, right? I mean, like we said in another episode before, the standard deviation between the sophistication of everyone in this ecosystem is so vast, right? So like at some point, do you kind of say to yourself, well, I don't want to insult our users. Like they probably know this already. Do they really need my hand holding? Like what is safe amount? Just let they know what they're doing.
This is we come to the process we talked about, which is the discovery process. You need to try several ways of user experience to make the people like to feel what makes sense to the people, what doesn't make, you know. Well, I have an idea about this, like opinion about this, which is sometimes like you can think like 1 person, 2 person, 3 person, but you can't think like 1 million person. So you literally need to try several things until you find like what is good for the user, you know.
And then if you go deep enough and think about what the user wants, at some point, would you consider other blockchains?
I think blockchain is more like lower level in terms of like features. Is like when you switch from blockchain to a different one, you have and you want to keep the same product, then you have advantage of like, let's say, speed, performance, like, you know what I mean. Like let's say Polygon, like why we use Polygon in the first place, because we want to reduce the gas fee of like the transaction.
So it's a decision made for essentially the user. I mean, what other Polygon has many things, but what people care about is what you're saying, the lower gas.
Yeah, it's like every solution of these layer 2 solution, let's say, or like every new blockchain, totally, they trying to solve a specific problem. Now, maybe your app or product need this, maybe your product doesn't need it. You know what I mean? Like for example, it comes to my mind recently that there is a lot of blockchains now. They try to solve the issue of like storing encrypted data on a blockchain. You know what I mean? Which is like something we might need in the future if we want to do things like open authorization that we do in social media, like log in using Facebook. If we want to do it in the blockchain side, current blockchain doesn't work for this. You know, like the current one, let's say Ethereum, doesn't work. Because everything in Ethereum is transparent. Anyone can see anything in the in and out, you know. So how can you like store something like JWT, you know, the JSON Web Token or these kind of like security stuff? So there is a new blockchain trying to solve this. Like there is some a blockchain called Fala Network. So you will see, okay, do I need this feature or not, you know? So it's not like literally... when you connect to a different blockchain, is not about just because I want to connect to it, you know. You need to see an advantage in your app, you know.
So a little technically, what does it look like on your end preparing the app for a new blockchain?
Oh, it's actually need a lot of work, because every time you add a new blockchain, it's actually, sometimes it's simple work, sometimes it's like huge work. Like I give you one example. Like now, let's say we started with Ethereum, right? Then we decided to add Polygon. Okay. Now, is the app prepared to have two networks, not one? So you need to work on your app to make it handle two kind of switching between two networks. And this switching need to affect many places. Even in terms of UI UX, you need to show in which network this is happening.
Different values, everything's going to be...
Even native token, like Ethereum native token is ETH and Polygon is Matic. You need to display the correct things. You can't just tell him your balance is 3, for example.
Right,
you know?
right.
You need...
I'm going to be on Phantom thinking that I have 4 or 5 tokens and I'm thinking that I'm on Ethereum.
Yeah. Also, like communication between the app and the smart contracts, you need to handle that at some point the smart contract address change, because once the user change the network, the contracts have different addresses between Polygon and Ethereum. You know what I mean? Now, this is when you add another network, another chain from the same blockchain, which is like Polygon and Ethereum and Phantom, let's say, they all categorize under like Ethereum compatible networks, EVM, you know, which is like just different chain and using the same technology exactly, which is the blockchain of Ethereum. You know,
what is the what's the gap there if you did want to incorporate a chain that wasn't EVM?
That's a huge gap.
Yeah,
because now when you have a different like network, let's say when you make your app works for 2 chains of Ethereum, like Polygon and Ethereum, then add a third one, fourth one, fifth one will be as easy as just configuration. Like you just add parameters, you add like whatever, like the new addresses, because of course you want to build it not only for 2, you want to build it that, we might have 3.
right.
You know? But then when you have a totally new network, like totally different blockchain, then there is a lot of work you need to do. Especially like, for example, like all Ethereum networks, they use almost same wallets. Let's say MetaMask or Ledger or like these like Chrome extension or like...
So it's easy for you to, I'm going to kind of put words in your mouth. It's easier for you to debug it. It's easier for you to like expect what the user is going to be doing. But then you're looking at another chain like Solana, and then there's no MetaMask. You got to use like Phantom, and then they have like the Solid, like all these other different types.
So you have to work even lower level, you know? You need to change how, when you go to any Web3 app, there is Connect Wallet, you press on it, you find what is wallets available. So that now you have different wallets.
Yeah.
It's not just one wallet, you know. Even you need to take care of like your strategy of building this. So some Web3 apps, they prefer to rebuild the whole app into like Solana, for example. Some companies, they decide to keep it in the same app. And both is different. You know what I mean?
Interesting. You're saying an entirely different instance of the program, but like just on a different chain?
Yeah, because the whole thing changed.
Right.
You know.
So what do you make of like these protocols that are just on a dozen chains? Is that good for them, or are they maybe allocating their time incorrectly? Do you have any take on that, or any like common misconceptions about?
I wouldn't say my opinion here for one reason, because it depends on their app. Like, let's say you have exchange. It's simple, you know. You just want to exchange two coins. I'm not talking about the technology or the implementation is simple. I'm talking about the feature is so straightforward. You know, you just want to exchange tokens. You know what I mean?
Right.
So maybe more chains make sense for them. It's literally just whatever chain you add, you open for the user more possibility to exchange in that chain, right? Or a block, like a network, okay? But in case of like DeFi app, things is much harder. You know what I mean? Like let's say not DeFi, because exchange also DeFi. Let's say an app like Mimo, like lending and stable coin and these things, borrowing, minting stuff. Things will be more complicated.
So what about? I mean, you're mentioning CeFi a little bit. Do you have any take on bringing a DeFi app into kind of bridging on CeFi as well? Are you touching kind of this area of the product?
Kind of.
Okay. Not much of a take on CeFi then.
Not really.
Okay. What's your favorite blockchain?
Oh,
I'm hopping right into it.
I would say blue. No, I still think I still like Ethereum, like the most. But I can see the potential with the new blockchains networks. Okay. Like, yeah.
What is it about a new blockchain that pops out and you're like, oh my god, that's a really cool feature. I'm gonna go build on that.
As I said, like here's the thing, okay? When we moved from centralized app to decentralized app, until now I can't say there is a 100% decentralized app. There is still stuff in the decentralized. There is still some capabilities that we still can't do it without centralization.
Right.
You know, so for that reason, I think we will figure, like, there will be a new blockchains, or let's say layer 2 stuff that can solve these issues, and things will move 100% centralized, decentralized. You know what I mean? So that's the thing is, and the possibilities is unlimited, because it's not only the features that we missing from the centralized world, we will be able to build it in the decentralized. We might actually build the new stuff. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's literally case by case. You look at the blockchain, you see what they are trying to do. If you got it, then you got it. You build the new stuff. Because for us as engineers, or let's say entrepreneurs, we need to know what can we do, what we can't.
Right.
And this will open for you a creative way to build a new products, a new kind of products, you know?
How are you managing the just simply adapting, right? I mean, if new chains are popping up often enough and maybe you do spend the time, get in one, and then at the end of the day, it doesn't really pan out for the chain entirely, and now we have all the sunken cost in it, there's liquidity in there and everything. Is there any kind of navigation that you can foresee as far as what that might look like?
I think even adding a new network or chain to your app is like not easy decision, because like there is many projects out there. Think about it like the early stage of internet. We have hundreds of apps that now doesn't even, like they don't even exist, you know? We have like small number of companies who made it, like Netscape, Google, you know, like these companies in the beginning of the era of the internet. So same in the blockchain is we have like some companies that made it, like Ethereum, Polygon, but you will find hundreds of projects that come out, they try to solve something, they hit the wall, then they die. So you need to be careful what next blockchain you wanna add. You know,
it's and I can imagine as someone who's like, if you're under a lot of pressure to kind of continue innovating and everything, like everyone's hopping on the one chain, but if you see something that you don't like, maybe it's the sign that everyone's chasing the wrong rabbit, right?
Yeah, I would say our work is really challenging
Mm-hmm.
because like
Decision making is just through the roof, and they're big decisions.
decision making also you need to be very quick in learning new stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like as you said, like we have a new totally network in the blockchain. You need to literally, if it's totally different, not like Ethereum one, or you need to kind of be quick and like learn how it, like why it is different, or where it is different from Ethereum, let's say.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
So, change is one thing. Anything else on change before I'm going to transition to another topic here, but I want to make sure that you're not eager to spit something out at me here.
No, everything is like I said.
Okay, so Mimo, blockchains, where does the metaverse fit into all of this?
Okay, now it's personal opinion, I would
Okay,
say.
yes, yeah. All right, so now we're transitioning here. I'm asking Fareed, yourself.
Yeah, okay. So basically I think about, okay, I want to talk about blockchain immediately, like quickly, then jump into why metaverse, like what is the
Okay, let's do it. We're going to
So-
go on a ride, everybody.
So first, when I was outside blockchain development, I have totally different idea about blockchain because I was keeping hearing, okay, we have this digital money, whatever. So what's the big deal? Okay, blockchain is more secure. What is it? Is it better security? What is it? But when I start working as developer in this area, I start to realize what is it actually. It's about ownership. So ownership is number one. So the blockchain is about ownership. How can you make somebody own something and everyone agree that this person own this, you know? And this actually so huge to me. Like I couldn't even think this is will be possible when I was engineer. Like when I start being engineer like in very young age, like very young, you know. And I when I realized what is blockchain, it's about ownership. It's blow my mind
It blew your mind, yeah.
because this opened to me a possibility of things that we as engineer thought we will never be able to do.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Give me one. Like just ownership by itself is already the biggest one. Or
Yeah.
sovereignty, just sovereignty, consensus, right? I mean, these are kind of like the buzzwords that are kind of floating around that are like the biggest points here.
Yeah, like I give you example. Like in the past, I was thinking about, to be honest, the ID. I think ID for me, like since long time, I think like holding your identity card or passport or whatever. I think all this is bullshit.
Yeah, it's,
Because
it's the point of failure is ridiculous. I mean, it's a piece of plastic.
you have to renew it. Somebody can just take your passport photo, go and steal something for you on the internet because he just provide them with your ID. You know what I mean?
I mean, imagine in the States, the social security number, all you got to do is find a couple numbers from somebody and boom, you can take out as much loans as you want, all this nonsense.
Yeah, not only this, with the advance of AI, and somebody literally can put his face in your face holding a paper, write anything on it, you know, and just send them your password. Or so in the past, literally, like I'm talking about maybe 10 years ago, I was thinking like, how can we solve this issue? How can we have an ID that everyone in the world know that this is you? You know what I mean? And this will never happen in a centralized way because you need a place of storage where everyone has access to. You can't just block it,
Right.
you know?
Yeah.
And it doesn't change. It's like just immutable, which is blockchain, to be honest, you know? So what I'm saying is once I realized what is blockchain, the amount of ideas that start coming to my mind is crazy. Like, for example, take for example, Google Maps. I think Google Maps is unfair that one company has all these data of everyone, every car, every place on the world, where is it is moving, you know? I think even this at some time should be decentralized. Like cars should send their location to something in the blockchain, and everyone can use these information to know like the traffic, the everything, you know?
And so this is actually very interesting because it almost sounds like, how do you make that work? But then the answer is that it's money.
Yeah.
right? I mean, the fact that we're doing this with money is one of the game changers, right?
I think the cryptocurrency is something also more fascinating about blockchain, because the blockchain started from a money. Something has a value. So for example, let's say in the blockchain now we have assets that worth $3 trillion. Nobody can hack it. If somebody can hack it, he will be like multi-trillionaire, you know?
Or yeah, right. It would cost way too much to even
so
do
this
it.
give the confidence for people who build on top of blockchain that this is very solid technology. We have hacked in the past, but it is being fixed. You know what I mean? So the fact that blockchain started from money make it actually more fascinating. You know what I mean? Than any other technology. Actually, it's a new internet, totally.
Right.
And it's actually blowing my mind how many engineers I meet as friends, they don't know how huge this.
Yeah.
You
I know.
This like step in technology.
It's not. What is it? What is it there? It's not clicking, or I know a lot of people might just like resist because it's like kind of trendy on Twitter, right? And they just want to stay away.
I think two things. The first thing is they underestimate it. Same as me. When they look at it from far, they think it's just a new, let's say, kind of like it's a small technology step. They don't know how huge this step is, you know?
Right.
So this is like one thing. Second thing, because some people still even not convinced about cryptocurrency itself. Like they don't believe in Bitcoin or Ethereum, and this make them take the wrong decision not to look at the blockchain as technology. You know what I mean?
They're seeing it as money.
Yeah, they just see, okay, Bitcoin at any time will disappear. We will not have this money. And this, when they hear blockchain, it was like, okay, I don't want to go into this.
Right. And we're like, it's not a stock to pick. It's a new form of technology. And it's so new. Actually, we were saying this before, which I think is a great point. Actually, maybe I'll let you say it. The old movies, right? Old sci-fi films and everything, like, cyberpunk and whatnot.
Blockchain is so huge that even all science fiction movies couldn't even predict it.
It's insane.
Like if you look at like any science fiction movie, take for example Star Trek. Okay, a lot of people fan of like Star Trek or Star Wars. You can find a lot of technologies that were in these movies, and we have it today. Robots, AI, whatever, like auto-driven cars, but you can't see crypto there.
Right.
Like literally, you know, I watched like hundreds of science fiction movies. You can find even spaceships, but you can't see this.
Is there an example of a movie that they are using money and it is all just centralized, right? Like they're all just there's a body somewhere.
It's just normal money. Not only crypto, blockchain itself, it doesn't appear in any science fiction movie, and this is actually blowing my mind. You know,
well, it's also, I mean, the whole concept here is, I've heard people refer to it as otherworldly, right? Like just not even, it's almost as if aliens would have come and implanted the blockchain on here, right? Like it's, and I've heard other people saying that if you make a civilization intelligent enough, they will always come to this conclusion.
Yeah.
Right? Like there's something there that you'll always have to just fix, and that's why it's so big, because the movies, obviously no one's going to know that until it happens, right? Slowly but suddenly, I guess, right?
Yeah, exactly. I think even the one who started the cryptocurrency didn't know that we will take it this far.
Really?
You know what I mean? As like Web3 decentralized app. You know what I mean?
You're saying as far as it was just going to be like digital gold and that was it. It wasn't going to be everything on chain.
Yeah, just we have a better store of value, and that's it.
And then just still build essentially CeFi on top of that.
Yeah, taking ownership of money from governments, banks to the hand of people themselves. But then it turns out to be something so big that we need everything. We need the power of everything.
Yeah.
You know? Because we are the owner of everything. Why we don't have the power of everything? Like take for example the issues that happened to social media lately about privacy.
Yeah.
Where social media start selling our data, you know. So we feel betrayed because we want ownership of this data. It's our data, you know. So this is something really cool that we moved from not only cryptocurrency to like we need ownership of everything we think we own, you know.
And so then why do you think it is then? It sounds so easy to say, oh, a social network should simply be on chain, right? Let the whole thing be decentralized. Why is one company in Silicon Valley deciding if an article is fake or not? The community should simply, the value should just flow there. It's not even a decision. It's just what is correct is going to end up winning because that's where the value is. That's kind of how blockchain is just by nature, right?
Yeah.
So how do you, why is it that we don't have that yet, right? I mean,
okay, I would say something, maybe a lot of people will find it strange. Actually, that's what you said is the metaverse.
Yeah.
Literally, you know? And I think the first step for the metaverse was NFTs. I know a lot of people, they hate NFTs. They think it's scamming, it's money laundering or whatever it is. I don't care. Actually, NFTs is the first step for the metaverse. And there is something I want to say here because we are into the field and I'm personally very interested in the metaverse. Is actually, I hate when people describe metaverse or limiting the metaverse into VR. It's like, oh, it's a 3D place. You wear this like VR headset and like you are in the metaverse, you know?
Right. Even though it's still in a centralized body, right? They think that they're in a metaverse, but it's not even necessarily that.
The thing is not this is not what I am trying to say here. Is actually, this is like not new. We have VR games in the past, you know, like we have a lot of these kind of experience where you can meet other people, you know, let's say games like
Words with Friends, Farmville.
Yeah, these kinds of games, you know.
Like Farmville is like, I mean, Axie isn't just like a Farmville kind of on chain, right? Like similar type of farming. It's just a farming app.
But here's the thing: it's not about what is the game, because these are just applications of what is coming. What is coming is really important. So here's the point: in the past, as engineers, we have to hold the user data in our servers. You know, so let's say you play like a FIFA game, okay, or you play Need for Speed as like racing game, okay. Everything in the game is stored in the company servers.
Right.
You don't own anything. You just own access to these things. So let's say if you manage to unlock a new car, you know, get a new skin for your car or something, all this in their server. You own nothing. And this is important because since it's in their servers, you will lose it sooner or later.
Right.
If there's a new version of Need for Speed coming, you have to start again from zero. Not only this, you can take it to another game. You can't use these things and use it in another app or games.
Right.
And if you look at this, how we solve it, how can we solve this is NFTs, literally. You know what I mean? You need to give people to own things more than money, which is assets. Okay.
Do you remember Loot? Did you come across Loot? Loot, it was an NFT that had just it was a bag, right? It gave you like a bag of the NFT itself was just a card with just Times New Roman text, and it was like maybe like a dozen items, and it was like magic wand, belt of freedom, all these different things. And the NFT itself, I mean, this is the common misconception, I think, that people just like think that you could just right click and screenshot whatever. Obviously, it's not the same thing, because in this case, you're right clicking a card with some text on it, but it's the functionality of the thing itself. And people were buying that the NFT was like doing so well at the time because people thought that this was going to be like your loot bag in the coming metaverse.
Yeah.
Right. And like that's the functionality that you're getting at that really no one appreciates.
Like you can see literally when we start talking about blockchain, we jump immediately into the Facebook, and we talked about the problem of privacy, and you literally said the solution is metaverse, but indirectly.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the metaverse coming, it will be not just a 3D. It can be 2D, actually. It can be anything. It's just a kind of apps where you can take your assets that you own from app to app, from game to game. You own it. And that's why it has a huge value.
Do you have a take on, I mean, I think you've been in the NFT game a little bit, right? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
I mean, I like every time I learn about something, I try to build it as an engineer. So I built an NFT project in the past. I learn a lot from it because I have to write Solidity, I have to write front end, back end, everything. And I have to follow kind of a standard of these NFT things, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I built an NFT project. It's called the BitCats. I sold one.
Not bad. Well done.
The cool thing, BitCats is actually, I made the like symbol is BTC also.
Oh, nice. Very cool.
Yeah.
Your little Easter egg in the NFT itself.
Yeah, but I didn't build it to make money. It's just for
Just to play, just to test it out.
just learning, you know. And I made the whole theme looks like 16-bit thing,
Okay.
like Super Nintendo thing.
What's the I guess what's your take on scarcity?
On what?
Scarcity. So how many? I'm wondering if there were like 10,000 of them. That decision by itself, which is also very unique to blockchain, that allows digital scarcity, right? There are only this many, right? A max supply.
Okay, I would say like NFTs is more about the address of the token, literally.
Okay.
Forget about the photo, forget about what is written inside it as like JSON description or whatever. What make it unique is just the token address.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So a lot of people say, okay, I can go copy this image. It's just an image, or like copy this thing. Like, why would I buy it?
Right. But you could take a picture of the Mona Lisa as well.
Yeah,
and
we
it's
can
not
go
doing
back
anything.
to the first of our, like to the beginning of our talk. I said like blockchain is about ownership.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you
I
copy
really,
it, but you don't own it.
yeah. But I mean, ownership only counts if there is scarcity, if there's a max supply, or if there's some type of mechanism that is guaranteeing. Because like, why can't I just print another BitCat then, right?
It is actually not necessarily when you have max supply,
Okay.
because Ethereum doesn't have.
Right. But they also are deflationary.
But the thing is, it need to be hard to get.
Mm-hmm.
Like, or let's say it need to be, let's say there should be a cost to create a new one, you know,
Mm-hmm.
because things can be like has max supply, like the hash masks, just like these, you get one, you are lucky, done. Things can be actually have multiple, like the hot shot of NBA.
Mm-hmm.
They create from the same shot 100 or 200, I don't know. And things can be unlimited, where you can go and keep minting. And this way you will see it more in games.
I see. Right. Everyone deserves to
Yeah.
put a hat on their avatar.
But the cool thing, once you mint something, it has a unique address. If you own it, nobody else in the world own this assets except you.
So a consensus on what is unique.
Yeah.
That is scarcity by itself, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter like what is in the NFT as I said, as like a
Well, it's almost
graphic
like, I
or
mean, you don't care about how your concert ticket looks.
Yeah,
You just care that it gets you in,
exactly.
right? I mean,
Yeah, that's it. Okay.
Yeah.
Of course, you have to represent it in a way that is a human way, because we like photos, we like things. And the cool
do
thing...
you see that being a problem quickly?
What?
Like that we do kind of morph things to be easily understandable by us humans as we live now, even though it might not be efficient in the future?
You want machines to buy NFTs?
No, but what I wonder is, for an example, I guess they call it skeuomorphism, right?
Yeah.
So the very first iPhone would have had a shutter that like actually animated a shutter.
Yeah.
Totally unneeded. Why are we putting that there? But just because our primitive minds need to, it's a camera, so I guess it should look like a camera and behave like a camera. But that's not the point of the camera. The shutter never mattered. And it can just snap a picture. And now, obviously, there's no shutter animation on the iPhone because we kind of learned.
Actually, this is more like we can't remove the fact that we are humans. That's actually what makes us cool and unique, you know. But the
Interesting.
thing is actually it's more. Your question is more to related to UX UI thing because especially UX user experience. Okay, let's say for example, like you have a website. In the website, you need to give people a way to rate things. Okay, the first thing come to your mind is like, dislike.
Right.
Okay, why? Because people already used to see it everywhere.
But it's already changing from like to dislike. Now it's how much liquidity am I pouring in?
Yeah. So what I'm saying is there is something called common user experience, and you need to start from there, then change. You can't just create something totally new.
So you have to kind of ease people into it.
Like for example, now in these days, no need for the icon and the save button to be a disk. Like
the floppy disk.
Yeah, it's done. Game over. You know what I mean? But we used to see it everywhere, and it's easier to make the user feel that this is a save. You just add this icon, you know, but it doesn't mean anything for the new generation. They don't even know what is it, you know. So here's the thing: like if everyone, or let's say the giants platforms, do something, you as a new player, small app, you need to start from the common user experience. Once you become big, you can change.
Right.
You know what I mean? So you can see this in the iPhone. Like they created the first iPhone, everyone start copying the iPhone. But now Android start creating their own user experience.
I see.
Where they start adding widgets in the home screen, then the iPhone have to copy. They have to copy the experience from the Android, you know. So it's always, you need to use common user experience. Then when you become big, you start change and add your touch on the stuff, and you will find also small players will follow your user experience. So yeah, what you said is like it has to be looks like a human. I think it's more about just teaching the public or the audience about your vision of the stuff, you know.
Are there any common misconceptions about this field?
As I said, for me, is the common misconception is for both. Like blockchain, people think it's about security. It's actually not about security. It's more about ownership. Okay, things that if it is like stored there, it will never go.
Ownership will naturally create security.
Yeah, it creates all other features, you know. And about metaverse, of course, I have to note, this is my personal opinion, about metaverse, that people keep relating metaverse to VR games, which is, I believe, is not this. It's just assets you can move between apps and games, you know. And this will create your identity, because you will end up what you own. You know, we don't care like you as like person. We will care in that universe. We will care about what you own. You know?
Right.
So yeah, that's
Fareed. What am I missing? I feel like I'm like going down a list here of just like hitting every single thing that I know. You can give me some really good stuff on.
Yeah, I think same for me.
Yeah.
Every time we open a discussion, I learn things from you, especially about motivation. Everyone should follow Nick.
No, please. On what platform? That's actually a good question. What's your take on TikTok?
TikTok. I don't want to give my opinion on TikTok. Sorry.
Okay, interesting. What about? Okay, yeah, that's fair. But TikTok is. I'll give my opinion. I think that TikTok's going to totally revolutionize media. I think it's going to be very, very interesting. And yeah, I appreciate you checking out my talks here and there.
Yeah, sure.
Checking out some motivational content on there all the time. But anyway, I think that might be all we have for now. Unless you think I'm missing anything, Fareed.
I think I
think we touched everything. Well,
yeah.
We'll wrap it up here then, everybody. Thank you very, very much for tuning into the Mimo DeFi podcast. Of course, be sure to leave us a 5-star review if you found this helpful. And also be sure to go check out some of Fareed's masterwork over on Mimo.capital and start playing with the apps over there. Be sure to open up a vault, mint yourself some par, and we'll see you on the next one. Fareed, thank you again very much.
Yeah, thank you.